coming into the trading world as a beginner, you see different strategies, different knowledge, different things that different people are implementing in their way of trading. And then you get confused. You're like, what do I do? What strategy do I use? What risk to reward ratio do I trade? And all these things can be confusing at the very beginning. So which is why I created this video, to break it down to you, which is the best risk to reward ratio you should be trading as a beginner. All right, first and foremost, we need to understand what risk to reward ratio is. So risk to reward ratio simply means, you are trying to put in a certain amount on the line. Let's use the percentage of your account. So let's say you are putting in 1% of your account down on the line and anticipating that if your analysis is right, you are making X percentage in terms of profit. This can vary from risking 1% to make 1%, or risking 1% to make 2%, or risking 1% to make 3%, and so on and so on. So in a simple term, that is risk to reward ratio. How much are you willing to lose if you are wrong? And if you are right, you were risking this certain amount of money or this percentage of your account to make a certain percentage, which is usually and advisable to be more than how much you are willing to lose, right? Because you cannot be correct all the time. That's the truth. So you have to, make some progress, lose some, but just keeping the balance of whenever you win more than you lose. All right, so now as a beginner, what risk to reward ratio do you want to trade? The first thing you need to ask yourself is, how strong is your trading psychology? How strong can you manage losses mentally? And the truth is, as a beginner, you can't really take much losses. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody might tell you. The truth is, as a beginner, your mindset is not yet strong enough to take series and series and series of losses back to back. So you want to make sure that you are in a system with a high win rate. This is extremely important. I'll tell you this. You need a system with a very high win rate as a beginner. Why do I say this? Because yes, I'm not here to preach that you'll be getting strategies of 100% win rate or 90% win rate. No. But when I mean high percentage win rate, I simply mean something 50% above. All right, you are probably you have a strategy of a 50% win rate, 60%, 65% win rate. That is okay. So first things first is have a strategy that has a high win rate. That is very, very important. Now, when you have that is done, you have a strategy that has a high win rate, you want to look at how often does this strategy performs in terms of risk to reward ratio, right? Some strategies might be giving you 1 to 5, 1 to 2, 1 to 3, and all of that. Now, the thing or the mistake most traders do in the beginning of their trading career, I was a victim of this, I personally did this, is having dynamic risk per trade. All right, so some strategies will be like, you have to come out at the previous high. Some strategy will be like, you need to come out at a fair value gap at some certain point, and all this thing varies from time to time. So this same strategy you are using could be giving you 1 to 2 sometimes, 1 to 3 sometimes, 1 to 4, 1 to 5, 1 to 6, like that, and it goes on and on. And note this, please stop trading 1:1. If that is what you were doing, it won't help you. I tell you the truth. Trading 1:1 is bad, because you are just taking one step forward. If you are wrong, the market takes it back from you. You just keep remaining in that same axis. So you want to be trading at least a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio. So back to what I was saying, as you see that, okay, my strategy gives me 1 to 2, 1 to 3, it's dynamic, but at the very least, every time this strategy plays out, if it is not a loss, right, which losses are inevitable, but if it is not a loss, this strategy does at least 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio. If you can find that, then I'll tell you, just stick to 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio as a beginner. That is the truth. Probably over time, when your psychology gets stronger, you might decide to start taking higher and higher risk. But for the very beginning, stop trying to copy. Yes, I have some strategies whereby I shared in my channel. You can check my playlist for some strategies, because I trade supply and demand. You can check my playlist for some strategies where I explain how to trade this high risk to reward ratio trades. But the truth is, the higher your risk to reward ratio, the lower your win rate. And as a beginner, 1 loss is fine, 2 loss is okay. By the time you have the 3rd loss, you start doubting yourself. That's when you want to start cutting down on your risk, which I highly don't recommend cutting down your risk, because the problem is most people tend to risk too much than they could afford to lose in the first place. So not following proper risk management, like risking 10% or 5% of your account, so by the time you lose 3 times, you start to panic, and then you start to size down on your risk. And when the wins eventually comes, it still doesn't take you anywhere because you size down on your risk. So just start with something that you can go linear, right? 1% you can go 1% like that, or 2% you can go 2% like that, without having to size down when these losing streaks occur. So back to what I was saying, 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio. You see that, okay, my strategy always gives me a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio every single time this analysis plays right. All right, so I have a 50% win rate and a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio. That is all you need. That is all you need to be profitable. So whenever you are wrong, okay, you lose 1% of your account. Whenever you are right, you make 2% of your account, and your losses is not so frequent, because I see a lot of people, they trade dynamic risk to reward ratios, and they can go as up as 1 to 10, and then they're like, okay, there's this fair value gap is supposed to sweep, or this Asian high is supposed to sweep. That's where my TP is. You want to catch the whole move of the market. So when you are trying to catch the whole move of the market, I'm not saying it doesn't work. It works sometimes, but most of the time you might get reversed on, and that is it. You see some people go as high as 1 to 3, and then they end up breaking even. You see some people go as high as 1 to 5, and they end up closing that position with 1 to 1. What are you doing? Just find a fixed system for yourself, right? Find a fixed system for yourself and stick to it. So which means if your strategy is always giving you 1 to 2 at the very least, even though it does 1 to 3, even though you are seeing the analysis that is telling you 1 to 4, 1 to 5, cut it down to 1 to 2, because at the end of the day you will still be profitable. It's just like having a coin. All right, this is a coin, and a coin, you want to flip that coin. What are the possibilities or the probabilities that it's going to be a head or it's going to be a tail? It is 50-50, right? That's trading. It's 50-50. Chances that 5 times out of 10 is going to be a head, 5% out of 10 is going to be a tail. So if you can be correct 5 times, but during those 5 times that you are correct, you are making double. All right, even though the remaining 5 times that you are wrong, you lose 1, you will still be profitable. Although this also has to do with other factors like consistent risk per trade. All right, if you are always risking inconsistently, today you risk $50, tomorrow you risk $100, then you had 2 wins, and then your ego is so high, you risk $500 the next trade, and then you lose. You're having this back and forth movement, even though you are trading the same risk to reward ratio system. You are killing your system by not risking a consistent amount of trades. So that is also very important. Risk the same amount or the same percentage of your account every single time, and focus on a fixed risk to reward ratio. It is extremely important. Just use a fixed risk to reward ratio. If your system says it's always doing at least 1 to 2, do 1 to 2. If it's at least always doing 1 to 3, do 1 to 3, and stop trying to chase the whole move of the trade. You can have 2 accounts. That's after you've gotten to a certain level in trading. You're like, okay, this account I'll always be doing my normal 1 to 2 or 1 to 3. Then this other account I'm going to be swinging it and see if I can catch the whole move or no. When you get to a certain level, just move it at break even, and that is when you've gotten to a certain level, not from the beginning. And I hope this video was helpful to you. If it was, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.